First, I want to take this opportunity to thank this committee for helping highlight some of the issues that we have with this agreement with as a people of Nairobi. As you have rightly stated, Governor, our role here is to protect the interests of the counties and their governments. Your government, I will protect your government even though I did not vote for you. And it doesn't matter who is in the office. It is the responsibility of the Senate to protect that government. Governor, you have seen yourself, you know, we can argue about subjectivity or objectivity of public participation if it has happened prior to a project or prior to an agreement. But it is honestly an objective mishap for you to enter into the agreement prior to participation of the people being undertaken. That is an objective criticism, that it has been done before. If you did it before and then people were ferried or people affected opinion, that is a subjective conversation that can be had. But you must admit that this agreement is fraught with very serious legal landmines. And when we say these things, it's not to say we don't want the money. Governor, you have thrown the challenge to us, saying when we pass the county government's allocation, we should include this 80 billion that the president. How are we supposed to know that the president was willing to give us this money, or that the national government had this money for Nairobi anyway? It arose from conversations that you had. And unfortunately, the problem we are saying we have is that those conversations were private conversations. We were not privy to those conversations. If it were me, I would give proper advice to the president and tell him, oh, by the way, if that money is there, please let us put it through the additional allocations and we will still get it. And the money comes straight to your government, for you to be able to do these things. Some of us still believe that the Nairobi County government can still collect trash, because this one is an admission that we need Musalia supervising collection of trash in Nairobi, which is what doesn't sit well with many of us. I want to dissuade you because, you know, Chair, just let me point out that we actually are age mates. We come from the same generation and we want a different conversation in this country. I want to dissuade you from these arguments of Bora tumefanya. You know, Talanta Stadium is there. It doesn't matter whether the Auditor General was, the Auditor General has raised questions, whether the AG was consulted with the public procurement laws were followed with. I understand also the exasperation of our people. Our people don't care which level of government has built a bridge if the bridge needs to be built. But as a generation, we want to raise the bar, Governor. It can still be done through the law. And this is the demonstration that I wanted us to do as a Senate. This is the advice that we are giving you. Governor, this thing is fraught with legal landmines. Shelve it and let us start afresh. Now that we know the idea is there, don't be shy publishing a notice like you've done in other projects in the city, saying we are thinking of doing this. Share a draft with the assembly, with your senator, with the public, and then let people engage, collect views. Say after the publication of the draft, Nairobians have said, Mr. President, that we can do this through this and this and this. Incorporate those things, because public participation, as I've said, cannot be something that is cosmetic. We must see our views, whatever those views are, reflected in the final document. Please shelve this thing and let us start afresh. Tell the President, now that we know he has 80 billion for us, let him send it through the appropriations in the National Assembly. Let it come through the county government's additional allocations. Just the way we send money for KIPES and for construction of the county headquarters. We want a transfer of all functions to Nairobi County government. You have quoted by late party leader. I agree with you. He was of the opinion that we do not need Kera and Kura running around Nairobi. Show the capacity to absorb the money, the budgets that Kura and Kera have. Let us have this money, because as you've said, when there's a blockage on Ojijo Road, nobody knows who to call other than the county government of Nairobi and the governor of Nairobi. We as a Senate have fought that fight with you. In fact, the last time, Honorable Governor, if you are going to be honest, it is the COG that abandoned the Senate in the fight for RMLF. They came before us and told us this is a fight we're going to fight together. Then you go and you might attend there in that address that some of us don't visit, and you agree on something else, and the next thing we know, there is a compromise in the case. It has never been the fault of the Senate. We who believe in the purity of the Constitution and that devolved functions must come to the county governments, we will continue to push that. In my other capacity, you know, there is a document that I defend, the MOU that was signed between the President and the late Raila Odinga. We put a clause there on the unbundling of all functions. We have only 2 more weeks to go, Governor. That has not happened. Leave that to us. We will fight for you. But please also insist on following the law, and we will be fine. Lastly, Chair, we in the Senate passed something called a disbursement schedule. It is one of the most useless pieces of legislation that we engage in passing as a Senate. I have protested even on the floor of the House because the National Treasury never follows this disbursement schedule. Let us fight that fight for you, Governor. We understand that some of the problems that we face in the counties is because it is unpredictable. You can't know. Your finance officer there cannot know when the money is going to come in. We in the Senate say 15th of every month, Treasury must release all this money. We have a man in Treasury who, anyway, I don't want to go that direction. But we have argued as a Senate that the National Treasury sometimes believes and behaves like it is a national government treasury and not a treasury that is supposed to fight and serve all levels of government. So we will do our part, Governor, but please, please, it is possible to govern this country in accordance with the law. Let us not have this policy of the end justifying the means. That is the reason why the Constitution exists. It's not a stumbling block. The Constitution is not an, what is it called? It's not an obstacle or an unnecessary, what is the word? It's not an unnecessary impediment to the achievement of progress. In fact, every single thing that we do has to be done in accordance with this Constitution. So with those many remarks, Governor, I want to advise you that it is possible for us to achieve what we want to achieve. Now that we know that money is there, allow us to get it for you in the most legal and constitutional way. Otherwise, with these challenges in court, without public participation, many
these new areas will be subjected to the actual process of public participation and whatever, but that can only be done if you say through an approval from the county assembly, then they will do it. It will be an automatic thing because county assemblies can only approve anything that they will have had their own public participation. I leave it at that, Chair.
Okay, next.
Thank you, Chair. I think maybe when the governor is giving his closing remarks, he can come out clearly on where the county assembly is left when it comes to this kind of cooperation. And also the issue of the pending bills, the NMS, about 16 billion or so, NMS pending bill, because those people who work for Nairobi County are left in oblivion. They don't know whether to come to the governor or to go to the national government. And if they go to the national government, where do they go? And if this agreement was to be effected, will it now again an issue of where will they go for their pending bills, because they're going to be bills, Chair. But what I can say in my closing remarks, Chair, is that this agreement, if well structured, if it follows the law, it is what Nairobi needs, Chair. And we are also saying it's actually also an opportunity to those who are saying they will take us to Singapore, to take us to Nairobi. I mean, to show us what they can do with one city, one county. Now the city of Nairobi, the county of Nairobi has a president and has a governor. So I think it is also an opportunity for them to show us what they can do before they take the whole country to Singapore. And Chair, finally, to give an advice to the governor or whatever is needed. But the governor has said, if this committee finds that this agreement is not a good one, he can restructure or he can do it. So Chair, you are now left to probably in your guidance to render it unconstitutional, illegal, so that they can come up with another one. But Chair, for it to work, it must have four things, Chair. One, it must preserve the county's identity, what the county stands for, what the county is made of. Two, it must protect the county assemblies. We cannot have the national government coming in through the back door and leaving the county assembly doing nothing or not giving the oversight power that it has been given. And three, Chair, it must safeguard budget's integrity. Because in everything that comes in, Chair, they must do proper appropriation of this amount. And finally, which is now the issue and the reason why we are here, it must ensure public participation. Because the objects of devolution, Chair, is for counties to manage their own affairs. So if Nairobi people are for sure into this kind of agreement, they must answer that question and they must give their input because it is their county, it is their home. Otherwise, Chair, we all need to look into this agreement and make it better. And if at all, whatever the governor is saying that they can look into it, I think this is an opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, Chair, I said two and I left out the second one. The second one that the governor must tighten is the roles and responsibilities of the national government versus the county government in this agreement. It is the first agreement, we recognize that, but there are some basic things that you must make sure that you don't let go. So please work on the roles and responsibilities of the two levels of government so that it is not messed up when you are not there. It is very easy when you are developing something to assume that everybody really understands, but they don't understand. Put it in black and white so that we are very clear what roles each level of government is doing, because it's not in that agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to agree with the governor that the capital city needs pragmatism, not too much bureaucracy or too much English. And I really appreciate a leader who gets to work, gets into action. Our country cannot be managed and run by too much English. We have tried it since colonialism, and it has not helped us. And I realized the agreement has particularly focused on very essential services and sectors, like waste management, water supply, and electricity. It's embarrassing that in the city we have places and marketplaces that really stink. We have roads that are still like farms. I cannot be walking on a rough road in Samburu and still walking a rough road in Nairobi. I need to feel the difference. You know, I've been promising my people that when I'm governor someday, I would make Samburu be like Nairobi. And it's also talking about housing infrastructure, county roads, and public health. It's also a shame that in the capital city we have water shortage and electricity is controlled. Sometimes we have electricity failing in one line and there is, I don't know why I'm echoing, but I want to agree with you, Your Excellency, and personally, I support that kind of leadership. I just need you to ensure that there is proper public participation and whatever the citizens of Nairobi and Kenyans at large who benefit from their capital city is taken into serious consideration after the public participation. I also would like to bring to your attention the fact that many young people were not paid when they were working for NMS. You need to do something now that you have told us you have a table or a committee where you meet the PSs and everyone who was involved, because NMS was part of Nairobi County, and the people who are affected are members of Nairobi County. I sincerely hope that during those meetings, they prioritize settling the dues of the people who are affected by the NMS. And I also hope that you have learned lessons and mistakes that NMS made, and you do something to make sure that it works. I support making Nairobi work, and I hope you get re-elected as the county governor of Nairobi. Thank you. I know we suffered in Bomas together, and I had a 2-hour conversation with you before I found myself in the middle of Bomas with chairs, lifting chairs. And I know I had a moment to talk to you for, this is my views, chair. I should not be gagged. I had a 2-hour discussion with you, Governor, and it is from that moment that I realized you have a dream for Nairobi, and I hope God blesses you to make it work. Thank you.
You can tell her to withdraw, just the way you told
okay, God bless Kenya.
Yeah, please. Azana, your campaign, you got somebody here.
If you made Senator Chude to withdraw about Babu, you know, you can also withdraw about
negativity.
I am not withdrawing, but I hope.
Order, please.
Okay.
And this is a committee meeting, eh? Next
Yeah.
time, don't campaign, okay? The committee meetings.
I'm not campaigning. I was just trying to make sure that I'm objective in my
Okay,
views.
okay.
I don't have a personal interest with the governor. I'm not going to participate in
Azena.
politics of selfish interest against anybody in this government.
I
Thank
understand
you.
you. Very well.
Thank you so
Go
much.
on record, please.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, Governor, that I'm very late for your meeting. I was in another committee. My name is Paris Tobiko from Kajiado County, and I'm a member of this committee. I'll be very brief because I believe the comments that the other senators have said could sufficiently work. But let me just say this. Governor, this agreement has the potential to either build you or completely destroy you. This is what I will say. If you get it right, then Nairobi people will go to the ballot smiling. If you get it wrong, and this is the only way you can get it wrong, if you abrogate the responsibilities that the Nairobi people gave you and you hand it over to another power or another institution, I can tell you they'll say we elected you and you handed it over before we give you a chance again. That you will be done. But Governor, if you get it right, and I'm hoping Nairobi County government will remain the implementing agency, the oversighting agency. The national government can give you as much money as they want, but please, the roles that the Nairobi people gave you, retain that. Public participation, as has been said by the other members, is very important. I wish you well.
Thank you so much. I think they know to say Governor.
With your permission, I've been sitting here as a friend of the committee. Yes, my name is Herman, Senator Makwiny, friend of the committee. I just want to say that from the discussions foregoing, Nairobi should have a special budget. It cannot be treated like any other county because this is our capital. But at the same time, then in the method used should be within the law, and the public participation is very key unless you want the courts to disrupt the good intentions. So I think when we are budgeting, we should have a special budget for special things in Nairobi, and that sorts it. And the governor have proper capacity to deal with Nairobi. It doesn't need to be assisted from another quarter. I thank you, Chair.
Finally, I think, Your Excellency, one thing I can assure you, this committee will stand with you to see that at least whatever you want to achieve in this city is achieved. This city, each of us has a home here, and we want to see a city that is very clean, that gives us enough water, enough security, and according to Article 189, that it provides an avenue for cooperation. So you have all the right to cooperate, so long as this city is going to benefit. But however, there are a lot of hue and cries. So I think the only thing is, you only make a participation. This document, actually, your assembly is missing. They are wrong. it's not well pronounced. It has not come out very well. And these are the people who support you, who will work with you. These are your MPs. I think that should be looked into. Two, and one other thing is I want you to put the NMS bills that was left in part of this agreement, if possible. So at least you can be able to pay these people. There's so many people who have made business with the county, and the money is still missing for the last how many years? I don't know, almost 6-7 years. That was also be looked into. Finally, I think, as rightly said by my colleague, Nairobi should not be an ordinary county. It requires an extra money. And I think as a Senate, we'll have conversation to see that at least the equitable shares get more than what we get now. And I don't know why we call you governor now. It should be called Governor General, because you are now governor of everybody. Because if you call everybody governor, the one with with a small county and in Nairobi, I think should not be called the same names. We must look for another title for you. So,
thank you for understanding my predicament.
So I think with those few remarks, I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Continue with the cooperation and the agreements, but because refine it.
Yeah.
Take the members, whatever the proposals have made. Engage your constituents and your assemblies. With those few remarks, I want to wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Chair. And thank you all to all the members. The work you're doing is so important for our country in this journey of devolution, which is the highlight of our constitution. And many times, it is us who will set precedents on how things are done, because there are many things that have not been done before. Chair, I want to assure this committee and the people of Nairobi, I've been walking around with this idea for years. I have said it to you here more than 2 years ago. I said it in the Senate during our debate. The only way you will sort out this city is through that additional resourcing and also coordination. Remember, the committee is not just for managing projects. It is coordinating national issues and county issues. For Nairobi, you need that. You might not need that in many other counties. But for Nairobi, you need to have that platform. That is why even you remember during the NMS period, the Director General was co-opted into cabinet. You know, for a reason. The capital needs that visibility. The governor needs to have information on what is happening, across the sectors. Chair, let me give you an example, and I'll finish. I won't take more than 10 minutes. Everybody wants water from the county government. And not just Nairobians, even Kajiado County and Machakos get from Nairobi. Chair, the problem with water is something people don't realize is a long-standing problem. And I've explained to you here before, Nairobi had only 4 sources of water. Kikuyu Springs in Senator Thangwa's county, which is 6,000 cubic meters. Ruiru Dam, again in his county, not even in Nairobi. Then we got to Sasumwa in Nyandarua, 60 million liters a day. And then Dakaine finally, 1994 to 1997. In total, all of that was giving us 525.6 million liters of water against a demand of 970 million liters. Chair, what this agreement does is that it formalizes our engagements with national government. Because I've been able to increase that water by 140 million. But I've only been able to do it because for now, myself and the president see eye to eye. And that I was able to sit with him and ask him to, there are people who need to be compensated at Kigoro, across the way live. Sorting out this city should not be a favor. What this city requires, the 50 billion or the 80 billion, is not a favor. This city carries the entire 60% of the GDP of this country. But the people of Nairobi don't benefit, And Chair, now, in this agreement again, because there's still a shortage of around 220 million liters, I have secured Maragua 4 Dam, which is 130 million liters. And in Senator Thangwa's county, there's a place called Ngedu in Gatundu North. In Ngedu, every day we lose 35 to 40 million liters as we filter the water through what we call backwash. I've secured the money to do reverse backwash system that will give me 55 million liters a day in less than a year and a half. the water deficit can be sorted out. So Chair, Senator Percy Tobiko, my good friend, is very right. I am ready to stake my career on this because I am so sure if we implement this as we should, and I'll make sure it is. I am chairing that implementation committee. Everyone will just say tuta because it will be so clear things will have changed. There is no other solution. There is no shortcut for Nairobi. There is no, I don't know, professor you'll put there, or there is no other way but dealing with the financing issues. And this gives me a platform to follow up, whether it is the Rating Act, whether it is sectional properties, whether it is security, whether it is, you know, how our officers are collecting the revenue. I can be able to do that. Waste management, there's nothing like national government coming to collect waste in Nairobi, no. Waste management has been a big challenge over the years. And I've had to analyze it, Chair, and come up with a solution. The solution for waste management requires, for instance, the waste to energy requires a tariff for energy. Nairobi doesn't buy power. For me to get that tariff of how much these people will sell that power to, I need the national government. The offtake, because now what we're doing is recycling. Nairobi, and I can give you an example. Over the years, in 1977 had 80 trucks, 78, 66, it kept going down, 83, 44 trucks for solid waste management. 98, 13, 2003 is when it came up to 21. When I became governor, I got 24 new RCs, 24 new tippers. It is not enough, but I can only buy that based on the resources I have. I had 4,500 young people. They're now on permanent and pensionable basis, who are called the Green Army. You see them. But what happens, Chair, when that Green Army have collected trash, then Exchequer has delayed. With the money I have and have the trucks, do I pay salaries or do I fuel those trucks? I have to pay salaries. Now we have an end-to-end solution, Chair, that is costing 6 billion. The national government is going to pay 2 billion. The rest of it is the county. So it's the county that is still going to do it. But that, and let me give you an example, that end-to-end, we're getting 32 compactor trucks of 60 cubic meters, 24 roll-off containers, 320 tricycles. The tricycles that now can go into the informal settlements and collect the trash from there. 320, 80 loaders and forklifts and balers, 40 dozers and excavators, then 90 tippers. In addition, the city has never seen this. So at that time, the people will say, wow, it has changed. And my target is to make it the cleanest. But you see all of this, if you look at the sheer amount of this contract, cannot be done by Nairobi alone. I don't have the 6 billion per year to do it. Remember, I've explained to you, everything from equitable share and mshahara too, and the rest goes to the county assembly. Everything else is this parking I'm charging here, land rates, which many people are not paying. Out of 250,000 parcels, only 50,000 people are on account. So we want the Paris lifestyle, but with a Nairobi, you know, the people say you have champagne taste on a beer budget. You know, we must also do our part as the people of Nairobi. So Senator Tobiko, I am willing to take the bull by the horns. This is a very bold agreement. I have not transferred any function. I will never transfer functions, but we will work with the national government so that Singapore becomes real, starting from Nairobi. Senator Karungo, the county assembly must be involved. It is in this. Right now, they're the ones conducting the public participation. They're the ones at Charter Hall. They're the ones leading it tomorrow in all the sub-counties. There's a committee of 23 members, and they're leading all of that. And as we've said, oversight, in I think section 7.4, the oversight and everything continues as per PFM. Nothing changes from that. All projects, Senator Kamar, I know there's that issue of such others, but 6.3 says all projects and programs shall be subject to public participation in accordance with applicable laws, and also must go through the assembly. Yeah, so we'll put all the programs through the assembly. I understand what your fear is, and I know many people reacted the way they did to this document because of the post-traumatic stress disorder of NMS. And you know, when a snake bites you, even when you see a shoelace, you'll jump. You know, and NMS messed up our staff. They were demoralized, they were transferred, they were mistreated, they left pending bills. And so that's why I said the first thing first. We're not mentioning Article 187, which is transfer. We would not go that way. And I would not be, I don't know, Senator Tutu was saying someone has a panga. Not me. No. And you see, the president himself has said in public, he is not interested in running Nairobi. he does not want those powers. Me, I've said I have not given. Now, if the president is saying he doesn't want it, and I'm saying I'm not transferred, who is this other person with another interpretation that there's been a transfer? The receiving entity does not want, the issuing entity has not given. Who then has created a transfer? We don't want, but we just want to make this city the world-class capital. You've seen what we can do with little money. You know, just look outside your square over here. I sorted that out. Go today to Moe Avenue Service Lane. Go look at you know, the walkways that we're doing. And it's because we've gotten 120 million from RMLF. What if it was what Nairobi? I would get even those in the informal settlements. So the limit, there's no governor who is happy seeing a pothole out there, or seeing this lack of water that we're saying, or seeing waste. But until you sort out that waste management, there is no angel who can be able to deliver that. And so I'm willing to stake, you know, everything on the line. Senator Muma, you're correct. That provision, I think we need to look at the issue of JVs and PPPs. When I became governor, I found 8,991 staff houses in Nairobi. Today we're constructing 73,000. Not affordable housing, county projects. Jericho, you know, the ones where we actually, Woodley had 43 houses that we brought down to do 1975 houses. That is a huge, huge change, you know. And to do that, I also need to connect more water, more sewer in those areas. People say, oh, the planning is haphazard. Kileleshwa and Kilimani houses are going up, but you're not doing the attendant amenities. We're doing that. This program of 1.8 by 1.8 along both sides of the river will include lateral connections to it. From Kilimani, Kileleshwa, Dagoretti, North Kawangware, all these 27 kilometers of the river. And we'll finish by January 15th of next year. So, Chair, so that I don't go on and on, I'm grateful to this committee for this opportunity. I don't think Kenyans have had my explanation before today, a proper explanation. And of course, you know, during this time, there's also a lot of propaganda and politics and different intentions, you know, from people. Somebody once told me that as a leader, I want the chair to hear, and my friend Amran is... Chair, listen. Somebody once told me that I'm giving you my disposition, that as a leader with responsibility, even you as a chair, don't be afraid to be misunderstood and make that not make you act. If you're doing the right thing and your conscience is clear, do it, people will understand. Of course, we'll do it according to the law, but if I'm to have paralysis of analysis and stay trapped in the headlights like an antelope, this city would not move. This city would not change. So as the governor who has that constitutional mandate to do the best to transform this city, I feel that this is a great milestone that we will refine, we will look at, but we have to make it work. In fact, I can't wait for those 14 days so that we have the first meeting, so that we align those projects, so that we bring here supplementary appropriations, so that we get more budget, so that we make Nairobi work. So thank you so much, Chair, for this opportunity, and may God bless you and all the members of the committee.